All right. What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So today is definitely going to be a little bit of a weirder video, right? Because this is such a niche, right? Because it's within the anime game space, which is already just like, okay, well, that's hit or miss. But then it's in the not so Kingdom Hearts, wants to be inspired by type beat. It's such a weird niche that I feel like I need to talk about because unfortunately it is up my alley, okay? So much so that I actually have a bit of a basis of things that I wanted to cover in this video written out because I haven't been doing that lately, which is why you guys get a lot of ramblings from me. But we're gonna cut to the chase here. The game that I'm talking about is called Reynatis, okay? It is, oh my god, it's such a weird strange little game that got announced a couple of months ago, and at that point we didn't even know if it was coming to the West, right? It got announced in such a low-key fashion that, we just didn't think much of it. And I guess, it was always bound to come to the West. We just didn't know when, right? Now, here's the thing, right? All you have to do, I'm probably going to show gameplay and the trailers and stuff like that on the screen. All you have to do is take a look and you could tell, yeah, this is very Square Enix coded, right? You can see the outfits, you can see the anime style and designs, and the primary fact that it takes place in Shibuya, of all places. It's so Square Enix coded, so Kingdom Hearts and The World Ends With You coded, right? And so I can't bring myself to ignore this game, right? Here's the thing, I don't usually do this kind of thing, but I actually have the synopsis pulled up so that I can just kind of read it to you so we can both get a general idea of what this is, right? So here we go. In this world, there are those who can use magic and those who cannot. The wizard minority are regarded as dangerous, an object to fear for the general public. Wizards are forced to hide their true identities to live in seclusion. Shibuya, Tokyo 2024. A voluntary nighttime curfew has been set by the Criminal Magic Response Act, but already it's nothing more than a formality that few people follow. Marin Kirizumi has lived his life oppressed for being a wizard. Believing in the words of his father, you'll be set free as long as you become the strongest. Marin Kirizumi sets off to Shibuya to obtain his freedom. When Sari Nishijima came into her magic, she decided to use that power for the sake of order. She enforces her sense of justice in order to protect Shibuya from illegal drugs that turn people into monsters. The story begins when Marin, who has been suppressed against his will, and Sari, who suppresses others to uphold justice, meet in Shibuya, a melting pot of ideologies. So one is fighting to fight the oppression, one is fighting the oppression, the other is the oppressor, and they both have their reasons, right? And so essentially it's basically a battle of morals, a battle of, that's weird that I've said that 2 videos in a row, huh? But it's a battle of morals, and it comes down to 2 different stories, 2 different powers, and just 2 different ideals. And it's very interesting because you could see in the trailer that we're obviously going to be taking control of both of these characters in 2 separate, their own separate storylines that are going on. And so in that way, it reminds me of that old game Scarlet Nexus, right? It kind of plays in a very similar way as Scarlet Nexus, in which you have these 2 characters that have their own stories going on and they have their own perspectives that you're playing through, right? And so you're learning from their perspectives why they're doing what they're doing and why they may or may not be against what the other character is doing during their time in the story, right? And so I can see the kind of thing that they're going for here, and I kind of like that. Right, and so I think that it's a really neat concept and everything like that, and I'm actually really now looking forward to it for a multitude of reasons. One reason that I'll explain way later, but anyway, we'll get to that. But Reynatis as a concept is actually really interesting to me. For one thing, an anime style game that takes place in Shibuya, you already know you're in for something gripping, right? Because if you know me, one of my favorite games of all time is The World Ends With You. Very well done game, very underrated. I can't believe that it ever even got a sequel. We're talking about this, don't worry. But I can't believe that it actually ever ended up getting a sequel, because that game was the most niche thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Nobody knows this game exists. Nobody. The small people that do hold on to that game for dear life. Every single one of us were like, there's no way this game of all things was actually getting a freaking sequel. We never thought it was possible, and that game basically sunk too because they under-advertised it, but the game itself was good, right? And so, you know, and then obviously you have Persona, very big, sturdy RPG, takes place in Shibuya. It's great. It's great. I love it. This gives me very similar vibes because you could tell that this game is very heavily inspired by games like that. And so, which is why I'm like, okay, yeah, I rock with that heavy, right? I'm totally down the clown with that. Also, I feel it very necessary to mention that the character designs are fire, and I feel that way probably because the characters are very Numura coded, especially the main character, Marin, I don't know how you're expected to pronounce his name, I don't know, but the characters are very Numura coded. Like, that is definitely like inspired from his art style, and that is absolutely fire. That is so sick. How badass is that, right? I'm sure I'm gonna put up some art of his character and stuff like that on the screen because he's badass. So is Sari, is that her name? I like her too. Either way, it just has a lot of aesthetics that I'm actually really looking forward to, and I can't wait to see where this kind of story goes, right? Now, before I get to my last thing here, I do have one concern, right? And that is because I didn't see the first trailer until right before this video. I just knew that this game existed because it's just kind of been floating around my timeline for the last couple months and stuff like that. Because again, as a Kingdom Hearts fan, as a World Ends With You fan, you know, it was bound to make it to my timeline. And so I finally caved and watched like the entirety of the trailer just now. And I can definitely say that I'm a little worried, right? I'm a little worried in terms of its quality, right? I think because the first trailer that they released was about 2 to 3 months ago. Definitely from the footage that I've seen recently, it looks a little bit more polished, and the game doesn't even come out until June or something in Japan. It comes out like next month or something like that, maybe farther, I don't even know. But for the West, it doesn't even come out till like November or something like that. I could be wrong on that. Don't hesitate to correct me. It's still a ways away, right? But you could definitely tell that the game is a little rough around the edges in some aspects, right? Things look a little stiff. The character models look a little unpolished in some angles. You know, the fighting looks good. You know, the dodging mechanics, that looks pretty good for the most part. But you can tell, like, this is definitely like a lower budget kind of studio going for something major. And that scares me because, unfortunately, I am one of the few that ended up picking up Eternite, and I get that kind of vibe, unfortunately, because Eternite was, you know, they showed it off and it looked really promising. And, you know, I liked the concept. It was, you know, the games it was inspired by, I was in love with. So I was just like, all right, sure, I'll give this game a chance. I could not get through that game. That game was a mess. I could not do it. It physically hurt to try to get through. Like, for the first time in a long time, considered just getting a refund on it. And, you know, respect to the devs, you know, I know they did their best. You know, it was a small budget, small team, small time. I get it, totally. But that game could have used a little bit more time in the oven with a little bit more polish, because that hurt to play. And unfortunately, when you look at the graphical style and the, you know, just, you know, where the development was for Reynatis at the time that they put out that trailer, it kind of gives similar vibes, and that alerts me a little. Now, of course, they did have some really like high quality scenes in there, so that tells me like, okay, they obviously have a little bit more of a budget going on, so maybe, you know, they took their time with this. Hopefully it at least really feels good to play, because it doesn't look the greatest, unfortunately. Frame rate looks like it's having an issue. Like, it's just I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna keep my eye on this one for sure, because I feel like, you know, looking at this game, it's just so Square Enix. Like, that's just a me game if I've ever seen it, and I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to take that risk, right? Now, one of the main things that brought this conversation back into circulation that we have to talk about is the fact that they just have a random collab with The World Ends With You, Neo, The World Ends With You, excuse me. Okay, right, and here's the thing. They teased this a while back in April. they showed an artwork, right? Or they showed like a little spoofy thing of like the characters interacting in their own respective games and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is weird and cute or whatever. It's neat though. And then they had this like super high quality art of Rindo and the main character Marin, like in an artwork for, you know, whatever, for whatever reason. And I'm like, that's a sick ass art. Like, cool that they did that. That's awesome. You know, you could tell that they were really big fans of The World Ends With You. And then all of a sudden, we get this trailer a couple days ago where Shoka and them are just... Shoka is directly talking to these characters, and you have Marin fighting one of the enemies from Neo The World Ends With You. And it's like, what? Like, really? We're doing this? And then Rindo shows up at the end with phone in hand and everything. It's like, dude, that's so fire. These are the kinds of crossovers that I miss in video games. I wish more video games had the balls to do something like this. And the craziest part is, it's not DLC. This is a true blue crossover with The World Ends With You in-game as a side quest. It's just, hey, here's this thing you could do on the side if you want. It's in the game. Go check it out because we wanted to put it in there. Okay, sure, man. I rock with it. I mess with that heavy because, like I said, The World Ends With You, one of my favorite games of all time. And Neo, brilliant game. Love that game. So well done. I can't help but pay more attention to this game now because now I'm at the point where I can't even ignore it because now you've got a crossover. First, again, like I said, crossovers in games are so rare nowadays, outside of like obviously like Smash and stuff like that, where you just have like your OCs interacting with these characters. Like, that's just so cool. That's just, you could just tell the devs were just like, bro, The World Ends With You is so good, let's make a game. Hey, let's see if we can get in contact with Square. And they just did that. That's so fun to me. That's incredible to me. And I really hope that everything goes well with that. So yeah. But for the most part, I think I'm more or less won over with this game, but we'll see. Again, I think it comes out in... Oh, I'm sorry. I think it comes out in September. So when it does eventually drop on PlayStation or whatever, I'll check it out then. But until then, hopefully they have the time to polish up and fix any little weird tidbits and stuff like that before the game releases. And other than that, I have really high hopes for it. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that because I've yammered on long enough about this super niche topic. Nobody's probably even going to watch this, but I'm going to put it out anyway because why not? But before I go, Sokatoa. Oh my God, if you get that reference, I love you. But tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Do you think that Reynatis looks really cool? Do you think that you're going to end up picking it up yourself? Do you think that we're going to have a good time with it when it does come out? Or do you think it looks like dog ass? Do you think it's just not ready to be released to the public and that they should let it stay in the oven for a couple more years or just not release it at all? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below because you know for a fact that I am always, always, always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. Once again, I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.